You know when you're reading an old story and some little detail just jumps out at you, something that feels, well, a little too specific? Today, we are diving headfirst into one of the oldest and most fascinating numerical mysteries out there, a secret that's been hiding in plain sight for 2,000 years, the mystery of the 153 fish.
Okay, so let's get right into the story. It comes from the Gospel of John. The disciples, they've been fishing all night, and they've caught absolutely nothing. Then, a figure on the shore tells them to try casting their net on the other side of the boat. And boom, suddenly their net is so full they can't even haul it in. But here's the thing. The story doesn't just say they caught a lot of fish. It says they caught exactly 153. That just doesn't sound like a fisherman's guess, does it?
Whenever you see that kind of precision in an ancient text, it feels like a deliberate clue. I mean, it's not a round number like 150. It's 153. That number is practically screaming at you to dig deeper, like a signpost from the author saying, "Hey, you, look closer. There's something else going on here."
And what's really interesting is that this isn't the only fishing miracle in the Gospels. There's an earlier one in the book of Luke, and when you put them side by side, the difference is just striking. In Luke, it's just a great number of fish, and the net actually starts to break under the strain. But here in John's account, it's exactly 153 large fish, and the net miraculously holds. The details have become incredibly specific for a reason. Now, this specificity wasn't lost on the earliest Christian theologians, the thinkers we now call the Church Fathers. You could say they were the original detectives on this case, and they were absolutely fascinated by this number. For them, it wasn't just a fish count. It was a profound symbol, just packed with layers of meaning.
Just take a look at St. Augustine, one of the most brilliant minds in history. He looked at this number and called it a great mystery. He was totally convinced this wasn't some minor detail. To him, it was a key to unlocking a much deeper truth about God, the church, and salvation itself.
And boy, did they come up with some amazing ideas. St. Jerome, looking at the science of his day, proposed there were exactly 153 known species of fish, symbolizing a mission to every nation on earth. Then there's St. Cyril, who saw it as a kind of demographic code, 100 for the non-Jewish world, 50 for Israel, and 3 for the Trinity, holding it all together. But Augustine's theory, well, it was a beautiful piece of theological math. He saw the key in the number 17. That's 10 for the law plus 7 for grace. And if you add up every single number from 1 all the way to 17, you get exactly 153.
So, the theology is deep, right? But the story doesn't stop there. The mystery takes this wild turn when we stop looking at theology for a second and just look at the number itself. As it turns out, 153 isn't just symbolic. It's mathematically, well, it's bizarre.
We already know from Augustine's theory that it's the 17th triangular number. But get this, it's also the sum of the first 5 factorials. And maybe strangest of all, it belongs to this very exclusive club of numbers called narcissistic numbers.
So, what in the world is a narcissistic number? I know the definition sounds a little complex, but stick with me because when you see it in action, it's surprisingly elegant. It's a number that's, well, it's quite literally in love with itself. Okay, let's break down how this works. You just take the digits, a 1, a 5, and a 3. Since there are 3 digits, you cube each one of them. So 1 cubed is 1, 5 cubed is 125, and 3 cubed is 27. So what happens when you add them all together? 1 plus 125 plus 27 equals 153. It's a number that is literally the sum of its own parts. I mean, how cool is that?
And the magic just keeps going. It's also what's called a numerical attractor. If you take any number that's divisible by 3, sum the cubes of its digits, and just keep repeating that process over and over, you will always, inevitably, land on 153. It's like a mathematical black hole.
Okay, so we've got the semiology and some seriously weird math. But there's a third layer to this ancient detective story, a linguistic code. See, in the ancient world, for both Hebrew and Greek, letters also worked as numbers. This practice is called gematria, and it allowed writers to embed hidden meanings right into the words themselves. So, let's apply this ancient code to a key phrase from the Old Testament, the Hebrew for sons of God, or B'nai Elohim. Since every letter has a numerical value, the really critical question becomes, what happens when you add up all the letters in that specific phrase, B'nai Elohim? You guessed it, it's exactly 153. And this just brilliantly illustrates a whole new layer of meaning. The catch of fish is no longer just about fish.
It becomes this powerful metaphor for gathering all the sons of God out of the chaos of the world, the sea, and bringing them safely into the net.
But if you thought that was cool, buckle up. Let's rewind the clock even further to a prophecy in the book of Ezekiel about fishing in the Dead Sea. He specifically mentions two places where fishermen will spread their nets, En-Gedi and En-Eglaim. So if we run those names through the gematria code, what do we find? The numerical value of En-Gedi is 17, and the value of En-Eglaim, it's 153. The ancient prophecy itself contained the exact 17 to 153 mathematical key that Augustine would discover centuries later. Mind-blowing.
All these clues are just incredible, right? But there is one final piece to this puzzle, and it's from a modern scholar named Richard Bauckham. He suggests this number isn't just a symbol in the story, it's the key to the structure of the entire book of John.
So Bauckham analyzed the word frequencies in the original Greek text of the Gospel, and he found that the Greek word for sign, as in a miracle, appears exactly 17 times. Then he counted the three words that basically summarize the entire Gospel: believe, Christ, and life. The total count for those three key ideas? You guessed it, exactly 153. The same 17 to 153 pattern is literally woven into the vocabulary of the book. The story of the fish is like the author's secret signature at the end.
So, what does this all mean? Which of these theories is the right one? Is it the early symbolism, the bizarre math, the hidden language code, the literary structure?
Well, the beautiful thing about the 15-3 fish is that they probably all are. This isn't about finding one single correct answer. This number is like a nexus point, a spot where theology, mathematics, language, and prophecy all converge into one incredible, multi-layered symbol. It suggests a level of depth and intentionality that is just profound.
And that really leaves us with one final thought. If this one seemingly random number in an ancient story can contain all of that, what other small, seemingly insignificant details all around us, in art, in nature, in stories, are just waiting for us to finally notice them so they can reveal their own epic hidden stories? What else are we missing?